Hello and welcome to our webinar series on direct bookings. Thank you to everybody for joining us this morning or this evening for those of you on the other side of the world. To introduce myself quickly, I'm Jess and I'm in the marketing team here at Lodgify. Some of you may recognize my name or my face from our blog, where we share marketing tips, advice for new owners, industry news, and much more. I'm joined by Andrea, who is one of our account managers, and she'll be on hand to answer your questions both throughout the session and also towards the end. She'll give me a hand with compiling, the most frequently asked questions we've received today. So thank you very much to her for being here. Today's session will be the first of 4 installments, which will teach owners and property managers how to get the most from their websites in order to drive more direct bookings. In order to make your website a success and ensure that travelers find it, there are some specific actions you need to take, which we will cover in this webinar. So from photos, descriptions and content to reviews and searchability, we'll give you an overview of all the best practices you can set up your website for maximizing your bookings. This pie chart from the leading short-term rental data agency, Transparent, shows us that property managers need multiple channels to optimize their bookings and revenue, and that in general, those channels include the major OTAs, online travel agencies such as Airbnb and Booking.com, as well as your own direct booking website. In the building of your website, there are 2 main considerations that flow through all the areas we're going to talk about today. And the first that very few people consider are actually the actions you can take on your site to make sure it shows up in Google and other search engines. The second is how to engage your potential guests once they arrive on your website and what exactly you can do to drive them into making their decision to book your place. So without further ado, let's get started. And the first thing we're going to talk about today are the photos on your site. Your property photos are hands down the most important website. Photos are what captures your guest's eye and really attracts them to your home. And if you don't manage to spark that interest in your travelers in the first few seconds, you risk losing them and losing potential bookings. Research from leading hotel brands like Westin have shown that there are 3 key things to highlight in property photos on the internet. Firstly, the beds. After all, we all spend 1/3 of our lives sleeping, and travelers are no different, especially when we're on a relaxing trip away. So here is a clear example of a great bedroom on property photos on a website. It's neat and tidy. It looks very clean and comfortable. The room has some personal touches, but it's not going overboard. There's not too much personalization in there. The lighting is warm and inviting, and it gives a very clear sense of space. In the last few years, as part of what I do here at Lodgify and also searches for properties when I've traveled abroad, I've seen a lot of very questionable photos on vacation rental websites and Airbnb listings. A dog on a bed or clothes thrown across a couple of chairs in the corner. And for me, those kind of pictures really put me off. They don't give that professional feel that I'm looking for. And I really can't imagine my stay there. I don't know about you guys. But anyway, moving on, the second most important pictures you can show are the kitchen. 64% of travelers say the vacation rental kitchen is the top amenity that motivates them to pick one house over another. So this is your time to make your cooking space shine. Let's take a look at this example. This is the yellow block B&B. One of the major advantages of booking a vacation rental over a hotel is this possibility to prepare and cook meals at home with family and friends. This particular property a very unique selling point in that it caters specifically to group bookings. So looking through the photos of their kitchen, you can instantly get a feel for how large and well equipped it is. We're seeing stacks of bowls and utensils and all the bits and pieces you need to prep a meal. A huge table with plenty of seating, all the necessary appliances, stoves, microwaves, a big double fridge, as well as a huge dining table so that everybody can sit around and enjoy the meal together. I'm already picturing, big sports teams or high school language exchange groups staying here and being able to share meals together. And it also takes that pressure off having to eat out every day. You want your guests to be able to imagine how their stay will be, and these photos are showing me exactly that. The third area which you need to be sure to illustrate clearly on your website is where is going to be your guest's main hangout space. So that might be a relaxing pool area, a cozy indoor games den, a stylish terrace with great outdoor furniture. Whatever type of property you have is you want to highlight that space that really is where they're going to spend most of their time. In this example, we've kind of got two for the price of one, as we've got the fantastic outdoor pool area, complete with sun loungers and a little chill out zone. And we also have this great shaded breakfast table. And we can see here that a little staging goes a really long way to helping your potential guests imagine themselves in your space. This very simple arrangement of some fruit and fresh orange juice neatly placed with the place settings really makes me think, wow, I want to wake up and have breakfast here too. But while some staging is good, you do need to be conscious that guests don't want to see how you live in your home. They want to imagine their own dream vacation. So some touches which make it homely without going over the top in terms of personal items or clutter. As well as this, your photos should always be high quality without being too heavy for your website. That's because one of the main factors that dictates your search ranking on Google is its loading time and how long people stay on your website. 53% of mobile users abandon websites which take over 3 seconds to load. And as a result of that, Google heavily penalizes websites which have large file sizes which exceed this time limit. But there's a trade-off, a kind of balance between the file size and the quality of your image. I mean, even iPhone cameras today produce really the highest quality photos, but they may also have large file sizes which can take a bit longer to load on your website. So there are things you can do to actually improve the speed of your site in terms of the images you are showing. You can compress them before you add them to, and this helps give you the best of both worlds. You don't lose the quality, you still keep that high resolution, but it's actually reducing what is the file size. So you help keep your speed of your website up to scratch and don't slow it down. So to summarize what we mean by photos on your vacation rental website, they need to depict a really accurate representation of your property and highlight its main selling points. You want high quality images which don't slow down your website, but you also need to remember a few stylistic elements like having great lighting, a bit of staging to make your home pop and appeal to those future guests. But what makes the perfect partner for great images? You've probably all guessed it if you know what I do on our blog, descriptions. Your property description really serves two main purposes on your website. First, it complements your photos and really helps to paint a complete picture of what guests can expect when they're on vacation at your home. They get a real feel for what your home will be like by the way you describe it. It also highlights what makes your property unique and those competitive extras that make you stand out in your destination. And it can also encourage guests to book. Second, your description will help your website to rank on Google. Google crawls website pages looking for content in all forms. So that means text, images, video. So having this well thought out description which uses your top keywords, but we're talking in a natural way. We don't want everybody to go overboard and stuff the description with too many keywords, can help your guests find your website thanks to the position you'll gain in search results. So if we take a look at this example from Villa CP in the Costa Brava, a clear layout of your description with some good headers which really draw your eye in will not only keep your visitors interested, but they also send signals to Google about the contents of your pages. As well as this, if you link to other websites, such as local businesses, even other pages on your site, your blog, this can also help strengthen your website authority and trust, especially if the links are reciprocal, meaning they also link back to your site. Your website's trust flow is another really important factor which Google takes into account for its rankings. Its main metric is the number of quality links from other sites which are linking to yours. So this could be anything like local tourism associations, or other relevant local businesses which you've kind of made a partnership with. In addition to sharing your description, it's a really good idea to add multiple languages on your website. So here on this particular website, we can see there are 6 languages. This gives this property in particular a very competitive edge because we're attracting travelers from all over Europe here and further afield, of course. But because search terms are completely different in different languages, they've done a great job at targeting them, and they're going to be able to reach audiences outside of their immediate language. Travelers are undeniably more attracted to websites and properties which boast their own language preferences. And it also gives the impression that you're an international host rather than one who is only looking to receive local guests. So to conclude on descriptions, the main takeaway is to set guest expectations, make it compelling to read, make your guests be able to picture their stay and the kind of things they'll be able to do nearby, but also utilize your description to your advantage to help you rank in Google for your main keywords. Besides your description, you also need content on your website. HubSpot research found that businesses with a blog generate 55% more visits than those without. They also get 97% more links to their website. That's why the best way to drive traffic to your website is by loading it with information that is invaluable to travelers who are already thinking about your destination. Think about the process of how you find, hotels, vacation rentals, any kind of accommodation for your own trips. What order do you do things in? I know that for me, I always decide the destination, and then I begin to research areas, activities, all those kinds of topics before I think about booking accommodation. So by creating these additional content pages by way of an area guide or a blog, which outline nearby local activities, events, experiences, gastronomy, traditions, anything that you think could be relevant for new visitors to your region, and these will really help in attracting visitors in that all-important research phase. But remember, this content should not be about your property. We've covered your property in the description. This is the space to think about all of the possibilities immediately outside and around your property. So if we use this website as an example, there's a lot of content on here which can really help travelers plan their trip. And it's conveniently organized into sections like information for visitors, things to do, with subsections about all the different key places you want to visit when you're in the Kruger Park and in the surrounding area. And it can also, this kind of information will encourage your guests into booking because they see you as this expert on the region. And they're like, okay, this host has all the useful information. They're a real insider guide. And they're going to share that with me for free. That's a clear benefit for people booking, accommodation. Another key benefit of creating content, is that it can extend the traveler's bliss point. The bliss point for travelers is pretty much the time where they reach maximum satisfaction, yet avoid disappointment. That's why the more activities they find out about in your area, the more interest they'll have in your destination and your property. And therefore, the more you delay this bliss point, it can even result in them booking your property for more nights. That said, when it comes to content, it's really not enough to just write it and leave it there. Many of you are attending today because you are you received the Lodgify blog newsletter. I mean, that is a perfect example of how you can get content out in the world. So share it via email, via social media. I mean, with social media, you can post small posts, but frequently. So, a few updates a week. And a newsletter, you might not have enough things to share every week, so you can leave this for once a month or once a quarter. It's really good at driving engagement among your past and future guests, can help with, recommending friends, word of mouth referrals. There's also a really good organic way of getting more visitors to your website. Also, updating your pages regularly to refresh the content or adding new pages altogether will help drive more traffic and boost your ranking in Google. So you can aim to add some new content, every month or every quarter, depending on how much time you really have to dedicate to it. But as a general rule of thumb, the more content your website has, the easier it will be to find on Google and the better ranking you'll get as a result. If you have no idea what to write about, one of my favorite tools for information is the Google Auto Suggest. So it's really as simple as opening up your Google Chrome browser, like I've done here, and let's type, I've typed in what to do in Christchurch. I know many of you are listening from New Zealand today. So we've immediately got some results here, what to do in Christchurch. If I remove what to do, we already have what to see, what to eat, things to do in 2018, we can change to 2019. Just playing around with Google can really help get those first suggestions for what you can write about. And that can build the basis of your guide. But to go into more detail, we will be covering this in a separate webinar, which will be the third installment. So watch out for the updates for that. But we will look more in detail at keyword research. But for me, the Google Auto Suggest is just a really great starting point to get those initial ideas if you've never created content before. So to sum up on this section now, the content you create always has to serve the purpose of drawing visitors to your site and getting your website found on Google. So target topics that visitors to your area are searching for. Even ask your past guests, what were they interested in when they stayed with you? That can give you some ideas. Or think about the conversations you've had over email or over the phone with potential guests. And with a little bit of optimization, the traffic should naturally start flowing to your site. So moving on from content, one of the most powerful marketing tools comes from your past guests in the form of reviews. For any business in the hospitality industry, such as hotels, restaurants, of course, vacation rentals, reviews are the top way that you can build trust with your clientele. There are plenty of statistics which prove just how crucial collecting and publishing reviews is. 91% say they trust online reviews as much as they would personal recommendations. 80% read 6 to 12 of them before booking. And 83% say that reviews have helped them pick the right hotel in the past. I am completely guilty of checking reviews for everything that I do. Whenever I'm going somewhere new, I rely very heavily on Google reviews to help me decide, what to eat, which museums I'm going to enjoy the most, of course, where to stay. I always look at reviews for properties, for hotels, for any kind of accommodation. So on your website, you're actually at an advantage because you get to decide which reviews you want to show. And as a result, your website can be this one-stop shop with the amalgamation of all your reviews. Imagine you have reviews from Airbnb or from booking.com. There's no harm in copying those over and showing all of your reviews in one place. So anybody can easily flick through all those different opinions from your past guests and really get a feel for how it is to stay in your property. In talking with many Lodgify users, who are fully booked out for all their high season, or even people who are super hosts on Airbnb, one of the key worries is receiving negative reviews, because that can really harm your business. One negative review drops your rating right down, and especially if it's the most recent one, it can deter people from booking your property. So if you want to learn the best way to manage your guest reviews, you first have to learn really how to manage their expectations. And this starts on your website by setting the scene, not overselling, not underselling your property. So if I think of an example, if your property is in a noisier area of town, don't be afraid to mention it in your description. This doesn't have to be a negative thing. It could be as simple as writing something like, set in the buzzing downtown district, the renowned nightlife our city has to offer. That means there can be some outside noise from time to time. So we provide complimentary earplugs for all our guests, just in case. This both covers your back and sets expectations. However, if you don't mention it, you risk getting a negative review because some guests might not want that hustle and bustle nightlife very nearby. But that said, if a guest becomes unhappy with something during their stay, be sure to give a corrective course of action that the guest agrees with. This way, in case of any discrepancy, you can respond with a counter of how you solved the problem at the time so that any future bookers can see how you dealt with the situation, they're reading your response and seeing what your reaction was. When presented with any problem in the hospitality business, the key is how you react. That's what your guests will remember, and it will really form the base of their review and their opinion of you long after they check out. So to quickly recap for reviews, you should compile all of them from other places onto your website. And you can even use them as testimonials on your homepage. I've seen that. People have big banners with, the latest review they've had from Airbnb, but they're utilizing that on their direct booking site to show, I am legit, this is my website. And I do have a listing on Airbnb, that's fine. But look, the guests love me. It's also really good practice to reply to all of your reviews, even those less desirable ones, but always do so in a very professional and calm manner and show what actions you took to fix any slightly negative situation. As well as all these things, you need to ensure good searchability on your website. What do we mean by this? Above all, you need a unique domain name in order to be found on the internet and to show up. That means you don't want a .wordpress or .lodgify.com domain, as this will be harder to rank. Ideally, the domain will be a mix of your brand and your keywords, which in this industry will often, not always, but very often have something to do with your location. It's also important to choose an extension that is relevant for your location and your market. So that's either .com, .es, .au, wherever businesses in your locale tend to use as their extension. That's what you should think about using too. As well as this, connecting to social media and being active on these sites will also really help increase your visibility on Google. Social media sites like Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, they are where the travelers are already searching for their next trip inspiration. So if you share posts which will persuade them into booking your property, pictures of your interior, exterior, a sunset, even reposting guest photos, always asking for their permission, of course, or any special events going on, even special offers. Sharing a little banner with some special offers on Facebook and Instagram can work wonders for increasing bookings. And there's a lot we can learn from other owners about using social networks to drive people to your website. There are even Facebook group communities which can help out with this if you're new to Instagram. One that springs to mind is the Instagram huddle for Airbnb hosts, tour guides, etc., which I think has around 3,000 members now. And these people are all learning from each other about best practices on Instagram because it's a very new marketing tool, and especially for this industry. So to conclude the first chapter of our direct bookings webinar series, the main point of this episode is to show you that it's not enough to simply build a website. You also have to manage it. And if you do the first thing, but not the second, then your ranking on Google will never really have the chance to take off. The other thing to take away is that as you build and manage your website, you have to understand that there are two components that must always be there. That's what you have to do to drive traffic to your website and how you're going to engage your guests once they arrive on your site. These are what we see as the fundamental differences between a great website that drives 31% or more direct bookings and a poor website which sees very little traffic and, as a result, very, very little bookings. In the next session of our 4-part series, we'll cover the last topic in more detail, how will travelers find my website. So we'll be sure to send you an email reminder soon, so no worries there. And if you want to rewatch the webinar or flick through the slides again, we will be sending an email after this session with a link to replay. There are plenty of other resources which you can use to find out more information. You can visit our blog, lodgify.com/blog. You can download our free ebooks and guides, lodgify.com/resources. You can see some case studies from other Lodgify users on lodgify.com/success-stories. And finally, you can check out real examples of other websites built on Lodgify, also over on our blog. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Our handle is just @Lodgify to stay in touch with all our latest updates. And we often feature users' pictures on our feed too. So if you want to submit anything, feel free to send us a direct message. And that's pretty much it for today. We're going to move on to answering some of the questions that have come in during this session before, hopefully, if we've got some time, we'll be able to review a couple of websites that have been submitted when you signed up to join the webinar. So I'm just going to have a look over with Andrea and see what the top questions are that have come in. So one question is, couldn't staging give the impression that you offer those objects to the guests? Okay, that's a very good point. There's a fine line between, heavily staged and a few simple touches. I mean, with the breakfast we saw, I think, unless you have breakfast included written anywhere on your website, hopefully the guest wouldn't think that, that breakfast spread comes included free of charge. But again, as I mentioned with the noise factor, this is something to set the expectations. You can always mention that in your description. Or if you don't offer breakfast, you could add it as an add-on. Maybe that is a good way to make an additional bit of money from each guest that comes through. A $10 breakfast per person per night. If you have the facilities to do that, then that could be a really good way to upsell. And the next question, Andrea. So how do you rate the importance of displaying videos? So videos are absolutely essential nowadays. I mean, we watch more videos than ever, especially on social media. So if you do have a video of your rental, I would highly recommend getting that on your website, especially if it's, kind of a video tour. That's going to really engage potential guests. And if they can look around your property, then the video will really help, and it can even persuade them into making that booking, because they can really get a feel for how your vacation rental is before they sign on the dotted line, so to speak. So if you do have videos, we really encourage that. I mean, it's something we're seeing more and more of our customers doing, uploading a video to the homepage, even having a YouTube channel. Some of our users have successful YouTube channels where they're sharing kind of like what we spoke about with content, but in video format, which is very engaging and it's very personal. You build this personal relationship with your guests through videos. Somebody else has asked ideas on how to get other sites to link to my site. So one of the easiest ways is going to be guest blogging. That means reaching out to other local businesses that have a blog and say, hey, can I write something on your site? And maybe they can do a guest post on your blog too, or just they can write a small area guide, or maybe they're an expert in whitewater rafting, who knows. So to get them to link to your site, guest posting is one of the easiest ways, because you can just write a short article about something that you have expertise on, Maybe that's the local area because you've lived your whole life there and you know it like the back of your hand, and nobody can compete with your knowledge on the local area. Another thing you can do is reach out to, local business bureaus or tourism associations. A lot of these kind of websites are always looking to promote independent business owners rather than the big OTAs and listing sites. So that's another really good tactic you can do. Somebody else has asked, does including names of local locations, restaurants, etc. help to improve your position on Google searches? Definitely. So there's a whole section of SEO, search engine optimization, called local SEO. And this is all about the SEO in your local area. So even things like having a footer with your property address, phone number, that can really help push up your rank in your local area. And if you have suitable information that's telling potential visitors where they can go for more information, that's also not only useful for them, but also for Google to show that you're kind of an expert in this area. Is that pretty much all the questions we have about photos? Somebody has asked about Google My Business, but we are going to cover that in the next session, so I'm going to hold off from answering that one. Hopefully you can wait. If not, if anybody has any other questions after the webinar, feel free to leave them. We'll try and answer them on the page afterwards. Somebody has asked what the Instagram huddle for Airbnb was. So it's a Facebook group, and it's called Instagram Huddle for Airbnb and tourism. Let me just check. Airbnb, tour guides, etc. I think. If not, we can always add it into the email that we'll send with the replay of the video shortly. So somebody has asked, guest expectations, what can help to measure them? I mean, a simple guest comment card or a feedback card can be a really useful tool in getting to know what your guests expected before they arrived and how their stay matched with that. We do actually have a guest comment card template on our blog. If you just search in the blog search bar feedback, I think you'll get the article that comes up. I mean, it's all about really engaging with your guests and asking them what you can do to improve. Many people, especially when starting out, may be a little bit scared for that feedback, but really it's the best way we can learn. Some people have made the biggest business revelations from negative reviews they've had. They may not have known that something was terribly wrong in their property or the way they were doing things until one person pointed it out, and that can really help change everything and improve. I'm just checking with Andrea if there are any other questions. Somebody has asked about pricing. So how good pricing can impact the booking. It really depends on the competition nearby, of course. I mean, if you're priced very low and your property is, much better than the nearby properties, you'll maybe have two responses. One, why is it so low? Is this a scam? Or two, I've lost my train of thought completely. So the price so low, it's a scam. Or two, you might get people out just looking for a bargain, and especially if you're starting out, setting your prices low can be a really good tactic to get the first few bookings in and to build in reviews. I mean, many people, when they start out on the booking sites like Airbnb, they do use this tactic. Exactly that, so you book lower than the competition for your first few months. You lose a little bit of money, so to speak, but you can really steal those bookings from your competitors. And a similar thing on your website by setting a direct booking discount. I mean, we have a whole post. There's an annual day that's being celebrated thanks to the likes of VRM Intel, the Book Direct Day in February. Also, again, if you search for Book Direct Day on our blog, you'll come across the article with lots of information on how you can get this idea of book direct across to guests. Because the other thing we have to bear in mind is that travelers are very used to booking on the big travel agency sites. So to then take them off of those sites and book direct, they may be a bit skeptical. But if you can prove that your site is legit, it's you can accept secure credit card payments, and you're priced competitively because you're accepting direct bookings and you're not paying any fees to these sites for taking bookings on them, that can really help improve your booking rate. And I think that pretty much concludes the questions for now. So we should have a little bit of time to review some of your websites that have been submitted. So Andrea's helped me in choosing some of the sites. I mean, we had loads of submissions, so we've just picked a few kind of at random. So the first one we're going to have a look at is this lovely property in Lombok. If you're listening, feel free to let us know. So the first thing we thought when we saw this website is the photos are fantastic. You've really put a lot of effort into having professional photos. You can tell, and they're really selling the property to me. The only thing is, I can't help but think these deserve full screen. I'm getting a little bit distracted by the sidebar. So I think if these properties were on, if this website was on one of the full screen templates, it could really improve, the rate of users coming to the site and thinking, wow, this property is amazing, because the photos are just going to really hit you in the face. In terms of other things on the website, we do have a video, which is great. We've just talked about the importance of video. So you've got a promotional kind of aerial video here. And we do have two sections for a whole interior pictures gallery and the same for exterior. Sorry, the connection's a little bit slow today. Well, anyway, so one thing I would suggest to improve is maybe adding some captions. Tell me what's going on in these pictures. Are these the same room? Are they two different rooms, obviously? Tell me a little bit about the property and give me a feel for what's going on. This is a really good way to use content to improve the SEO. Another thing we're missing is no reviews. I don't believe that nobody has reviewed this property because it looks amazing. So if you are listening, get your reviews from all your sites. You just go into your Lodgify backend, click add review, and add all those reviews. That's going to really help sell your property. And another thing you could also do is, if you have social media, if you have Instagram, Facebook, add the social media icons. That will help users be able to check up and verify that you are who you say you are. You've got this professional profile on all of the social networks. And you could also think about adding some content pages, as we've spoken about in the webinar. What is there to do in Lombok? Is your beachside? Is it surfing? Is it relaxing? What are the kind of activities people do? And another point to make as well is, I've seen that on the homepage, this whole description is in the H3 tag, the heading 3 tag. So I know that makes the text bigger, but actually those header tags do send signals to Google about relevance. So if everything is in the H3 tag, can be a little bit negative. So what I would suggest is, taking out some of the key points. This could be one header, located in the heart of Kuta. Then this can be a paragraph text that tells you the distances, the location, etc. And the same goes for the rooms pages. So I've noticed these are all in header 3. These could do with a little description alongside, just to really tell the guest what they can expect from your different rooms. So as I mentioned before, that I think this could benefit from a full screen template, I've been given top secret authorization by our development team. If I get into trouble, don't worry, it's going to be fine, to show you how this website could look with a preview of one of our new templates that's going to be launching very soon. So I've mocked that up. This is what it will look like. Now, doesn't that just appeal so much more? Hits you in the face, really, that picture of how great is that pool. I want to be lying on that sunbed, or I want to be relaxing over in that corner. So I think this template is going to be a real big hit with our users, and it's coming very, very soon. Hopefully I will not get in trouble for sharing this with you. So yeah, we're going to move on to another website that's been submitted. So this is using the Livingstone template, and this is nice. We're seeing the full screen photos here. And some positive points is we're using social proof. This isn't something we've really covered today, but I mean, these booking.com seals of appeal, and you're an Airbnb superhost. This is great, though I am a little bit worried that these link to your listings and are therefore maybe going to drive me away to book on booking.com or Airbnb. So it's great to have that kind of certificate, that seal of approval, but by linking to them, you have this conflict of, oh, are they going to stay on my website to book, or are they going to go elsewhere? Another really great thing is the fact that we have these reviews from Airbnb and so on. So, this property itself has 31 reviews. See, a lot of people have stayed here and they've really enjoyed their time. And the photos as well are very, very clear, very professional, nicely styled. The bed's looking very neat and so on. Some points to improve. If we go back to the home page, I would say we can work on this description. This could be a bit longer, a bit more eye-catching. We can add some headers in there. Not only important for SEO, but also for your readers, really let them know what's important about these properties. And I'm a bit confused of the branding. So the URL, the domain name is Stay at Madeira, but we have the logo which says, I don't know, this says JPARD. I'm imagining this is the property manager. Maybe we want to do some, JPARD down here. So maybe you want to do a little bit about us, so that would help clarify why Stay at Madeira is part of the JPARD administration. That would really just help clarify to new visitors to your website who you are and what your property is. Likewise, with the other example, you can also add some more content pages, especially if all your properties are in the Funchal area. You can really speak about what's important in Funchal, what there is to do, what there is to eat, what there is to drink. I'm seeing two nice glasses of probably Porto wine here. So yeah, I think it's a great start, but those few pointers can really help, and they'll also help to improve your rankings in Google. Do we have time for another one, Andrea? Yeah, I think so. So we're going to move on to another example. And this is Cocomomo at Kingfisher Bay. So we've got a nice logo. This is a good start. And we've got the full width photos on the homepage, which is also good to show off the property. And we're also seeing that you've got a lot of footage, so that's a really good start. We'd like to see more reviews up here. That would make it even better. And in terms of the pictures, could we improve the quality of them? Some of them are maybe a little bit blurry. Oh, that one moved very fast. It's not quite focused. Could we update that, brighten the images a bit, or update the photos altogether? There are also some pictures, with the dog, which it's cute. But maybe that's kind of what I said before of, it's not giving you the impression of, or not giving the guest the impression of what their stay is going to be like, but it's rather how you live there. So we're also seeing some people bathing in the lake, the dog on the beach again. These kind of pictures, though, may be better suited for your Instagram, showing your guests having a great time, but on your property gallery, maybe it's not the best place to show them off. We could also, likewise with the other two we've shown, we can improve this description. We can pack it out with much more information. We have a good start here, but we can really add on that, sleeps up to 10 people. Who are couples, families, and groups? Maybe you can make a page for each of these and show some experiences of different families and groups that have stayed there. What else is there to do in Fraser Island? Just a bit more content in general would be really great. And again, I'm not seeing any social media. Maybe you don't have any yet, but it's a really good idea to start those social media pages, just to simply be able to contact with guests in another way, and and also have that kind of coherence across the internet for your business brand. And the final website we're going to have a quick look at today is Book Twizel, a New Zealand property or properties. And I mean, we've already got some great full screen photos here showing different areas of the house. So that's really good. That's exactly what we've spoken about, seeing the different setups, the little relaxing areas, the outdoor areas. And we also have this great description here. So it's giving us some reasons why book with us, why stay here, why list your home with us. So, this is also attracting other property owners who maybe need a property manager to take care of their space. And yeah, we also have this is a really nice positive move showing that they're a living wage employer. So this is great. This is giving any guest the impression that you're very legitimate about what you're doing and you respect the team that you have working for you. So that's really nice to show this kind of badge. That's great. And perhaps if there is an association, maybe they can link back to you and say that this Book Twizel is a living wage employer too. In terms of things that we could improve on this website, I think we could also, a lot of you know me from the blog. For me, it's always going to be content. You can always add more content to your website. Tell us about the area. If these are all in a specific area of New Zealand, which I believe they are, they're all in Twizel. So, add content pages. These will help across your whole site. Anybody who's looking for a property in that specific area, they're going to come across all of your properties. And it's going to really help them to make up their mind when they have this whole area guide of the things to do, places to eat, what they can see, where they can explore, what's nearby, how far it's to drive to the airport, all of this stuff. And a final point is the descriptions for each property are a really good start. But again, we could use some headers here simply for the SEO purposes to really send those signals to Google of what's important and what does this property have that the other ones don't. Really just making that more obvious on the property pages. So that really does conclude the webinar today. Thank you very much to everybody who's attended. We will send the video replay once we've finished to anybody who wasn't able to make it, or in case you want to watch it again or share it with your friends. The questions were really interesting. Really great stuff. So, and if you do have any more, you can always contact. If you have any technical things about your website itself, you're already a Lodgify user, you can contact our support team on help@lodgify.com. And if you're thinking about switching to Lodgify, or you haven't yet built a website, you can start your free trial on lodgify.com/signup, and we'll have a team on hand to answer any questions. So thank you very much for joining. We hope to see you in the next sessions. And yeah, have a great day, evening, wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.